You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, The 100-Year Lifestyle, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Passive Practice Profits, BrainTap Technology, Sherman College of Chiropractic, SCED, ChiroPro Accounting, A-Line, and Midwest Brain Health Technology. Let's hustle!
Hey guys, welcome to episode 260 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I am your co-host Luke Millette, and here's your host Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Brad Wolf, DC, and if you want to know how chiropractic fits into the future of healthcare, stay tuned. Welcome, Chiro Hustle Nation, to another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today we have Dr. Brad Wolf coming in from
Charlotte, North Carolina.
And Luke, where are we coming in from today?
Grand Junction, Colorado.
So this is really exciting. We had a chance to be introduced by a mutual friend, and we jumped on a phone call, and we just went right down and drilled deep into the conversation and got to know each other. And I'm like, hey, Brad, why don't we do an episode of Chiro Hustle? And you said,
I'm ready to go. Let's go.
So you are episode 260 of the Chiro Hustle podcast that are actually published episodes. At this juncture, Luke and I have done over 900 episodes of interviews that have been recorded, but we don't publish all of them. So you are an official episode of Chiro Hustle. So welcome to the show.
Fabulous. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, we have a lot of fun with what we do. And I think the most important question possibly that we ever ask anybody on our show is, what is your chiropractic story and what influenced you to become a chiropractor? I know you sent me a bio and I just got done reading it. It took me 25 minutes, but maybe you could share that with our audience.
So I'll give you the short story. At least when I was growing up, I was kind of a sick kid. And, I never really had pain problems, though I did play sports, but, I had asthma and allergies and I was sick all the time. And growing up, they put me on inhalers and allergy shots and trips to the emergency room. And so growing up, nobody ever they didn't talk to me about chiropractic. They didn't talk to me that food had anything to do with, the health of my body. There was no suggestion that there was anything that I could do to actually change my situation. And when I went away to college, I started just thinking about what are the things that I could do to actually change the quality of my health and get myself in a better situation. And so, when I first went to college, I started just exploring yoga and Tai Chi and massage and acupuncture and different things like that. And it was in my third year that I met somebody and she said, hey, my friends are chiropractors. Do you want to come meet them? And at that point, I had never been to a chiropractor. I had never really even talked about the word chiropractic. I knew nothing about it. And so I went over to her friend's house. His name was Dr. Alan Lazar. He still practices, I believe, in Beverly Hills. And Jennifer Gardner, who practices up in the San Francisco Bay Area. I don't know if she still practices there, but I know he definitely still does. And they explained chiropractic to me really very simply. They said, you know what, you have spine, you got nerves, and there's interference. And that interference can happen when there's pressure on those nerves and your body's not going to work as well as it needs to. And at that time, I was just really looking for answers and things that I could do to make my body stronger. And on that day, he gave me my first adjustment and my life changed. Literally just completely transformed, because up until that time, I had been, I would get these cold or flu episodes that would literally last for like 2 or 3 weeks. And in a matter of probably 15 minutes, it completely changed the way that I felt. So, that was my introduction to chiropractic. And from there, it just kind of went on from there.
But to rewind it back, when you were little, I read in your bio, you fell off a Bigwheel.
Yeah.
Do you want to maybe share like the early stages of how that like started to make you like, I guess in the regular world, people call them sick kids?
Yeah. So when I was 3, I was cycling my big wheel and I flipped over and I cracked my head open. I had 6 stitches in my head that day. And, as I'm kind of putting my story together, I was thinking about it, like at that time in my life, nobody was really talking about concussions at that point. So if I had a concussion, it's possible I had a concussion. I don't know if I did or didn't, but there's a connection between your brain and your gut and your digestive system and your immune system. And so if my immune system got stressed because I had head trauma, to me, that seems very plausible that's possible that's exactly what happened. But at that time, there were other things going on. My parents got divorced. I was eating horribly. My mom would cook meals, but she loved to bake, and she'd have cookies and candy and stuff like out all the time. And so I would just, it was sugar. I liked it. I would eat it. So I don't know how much diet played a role. I don't know how much my genetics played a role. I do know that the boys in my family, both my uncle and my son and myself and my grandfather, all have allergic sensitivities. But there's other boys that don't have the allergies. But the point is simply that sometimes those triggers and that head trauma may very well have triggered myself into what ended up happening over many years.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I had some head trauma this past weekend. I was in a fort in Puerto Rico and hit my head coming out of this fort and thought I broke my teeth. I didn't, and luckily I get to go get checked tomorrow by my chiropractor and to see what happened. But yeah, I understand some head trauma.
I've learned over the years that if you fall, even if you don't hurt, you should still go get your spine checked, because sometimes the frame of your body gets jarred. Your nervous system can get stressed, and interference and subluxations and other areas of interference in the body can happen even through normal activity. And sometimes I'll ask people, I say, have you ever been in an accident? And they'll go, yeah, I did, but it was a long time ago, as if, well, that doesn't count.
Well, I felt it in my low back. I'm like, and anyways, yeah, I'm lucky to understand the chiropractic lifestyle and understand what it is to get checked regularly and to get adjusted if necessary. So I just wanted to let you know that I feel your pain.
Well, listen, we all have a history, and one of the things that I do with my people here in the office is I always ask them this question. I say, what, if we could take a video and watch you your entire life, what are we going to see? What are we going to see? We're going to see a fall off of a bike, or we're going to see your sibling beating you up on the ground? Are we going to see, were you spanked hard by your parents? For me, it was soccer starting at the age of 6, tennis at the age of 14, 15, and it was just cumulative over time. And what a lot of people don't understand is that where our body is today is an accumulation of everything that's happened over the course of our life. There's no separation between something that happens when we're younger and now. It's just an accumulation. And if you don't know that, then problems can accumulate over time, and eventually it can really kick you in the butt.
Well, it's macro traumas eventually become major traumas.
Absolutely.
So what are some things that you say would make you unique or make you stand out in the chiropractic world?
Thanks for asking, Luke. I've had a general practice for, I graduated from, as you're reading in my bio, I graduated from Logan in the fall of 1996. I've been in practice since the spring of 97. And I have generally had just a general practice. I've seen adults, I've seen kids, I've seen, auto accidents, I've seen all sorts of different types of cases. So I don't think that that's really what sets me apart. In 2005, I had several patients that had severe disc-related injuries, and they ended up I fought myself on this because I really didn't want to refer them for something more invasive. But the fact is, at that point in time, whatever it is that I was doing was not changing what was going on with them. And at that time, I had invested in a DRX 9000, which it's really the Cadillac, so to speak, or the Rolls Royce of decompression machines. And I've been using it since 2005. And so a lot of what I end up becoming in my own practice is to help people avoid spinal surgery. I think that, chiropractors will treat people who are having severe disc-related problems, but don't really understand the extent that they need to really provide support for that person so the person can get past their problem and kind of get on to their living. Chiropractic alone is so powerful, but sometimes it's not enough. And I would find that I would be adjusting somebody for even several weeks, maybe even a couple of months, and I would put them on the decompression table, and literally in one visit, their pain would reduce by 90%. So I think that as chiropractors, we have to be somewhat flexible. And even if you don't do it yourself, maybe you have a colleague down the street that does it. Maybe we can share expertise with each other. But for myself, I've really had a kind of holistic approach to the body for most of my life since about the age of 18. And so for me, chiropractic is really at the top of the chain of approaches that I use to support my own body. But it's not a replacement for regular exercise, for getting good sleep, for eating a whole food diet, for doing breathing exercises or meditation. But even if those things are not chiropractic, it's important for people to realize that your body requires a whole strategy to be able to keep yourself in great shape.
Yeah, I really glean off of the idea that you shared there is that chiropractic is a component to people having good health, but it's a major component and it should never be overlooked. And I see the need for people to understand that there are other parts of a lifestyle that are components to staying healthy. And health isn't just, a simple path. It's the long game. And
I get concerned a little bit when chiropractors, whether you're a chiropractor, you're a personal trainer, you're a nutritionist, think that, the nutritionist thinks that food fixes everything. And the personal trainer thinks that exercise is going to fix everything. And chiropractic is by far, I would say, the most powerful approach to the body that I've ever experienced. And, being that when I went to school, I was very, very connected to the philosophy. It made a lot of sense to me. And from just the whole idea that there is this innate intelligence that drives the healing of the body, and that there's intelligence within us and there's wisdom within us, is really powerful. One of the kind of thoughts that I've had more recently is that medical care is not health care. We know this, but people sometimes conflate the two issues. And when I drive down the road, I drive past two hospitals on my way to the on my way to the office, And one of them says Novon health, and the other one says atrium health. And there's nothing health in there, but people are confused because they're not getting a clear message.
So, what are some mantras that you live your life by, or what are some of your favorite inspirational quotes?
You know, for me, when I had gone into college, I first got my exposure to Tony Robbins when I was about 20. And he really changed the way that I thought, where my mindset was, the questions I was asking myself. And, I don't know that there's one specific mantra or quote. I believe that we have, self-determinism, that we take ourselves where we want to be in our own life. And even if you say, okay, well, I believe that, God takes me there, or some other force takes me there, you still have to take the action. And I was reading something the other day, and it was saying, the last words of the word attraction is action. You can't just, you say you want to attract something, but that requires your action to go into place. But in terms of quotes, mantras, I believe in the human being. I believe in the ingenuity, the human ingenuity. And I believe that we as individuals can chart the course for ourselves. If we want to change our health, and we want to change our life, we want to change our mindset, we want to change our relationships, we can do that. But it starts with changing the question you're asking yourself. And it starts with taking action. You cannot just attract something just by it coming out of the ethos. You have to be in action and be a part of that process.
Well, Dr. Brad, it reminds me of the old, saying is if you're going to chop a tree down, spend 70% of the time sharpening the axe. And then the 30% of the time that you're chopping the tree's going to fall faster because you prepared yourself for action.
Yes.
And I think that that's a lot to be said about people in general. Is if you're going to be healthy long-term with chiropractic, you have to spend 70% of the time understanding why you need to take care of all these other components to your life, along with chiropractic care. And then you're going to have the outcome, which is the 30% of vitality, longevity, and, quality of existence. And, unfortunately, a lot of times when people come into the chiropractic world, they're either beat up by life or by drugs or by surgery or something, and they come to chiropractic last. And they're like, well, I've tried to lose weight, or I've tried to have go to the gym, or I've done this, or I've done corporate wellness, or whatever it is. Before they know it, they're like knocking at the door of a chiropractor saying, hey, can you fix this broken thing that I come in here with? And I can explain to you. And then you're like, well, just let me do my thing as a chiropractor and find out what's going on. And I want that storybook of your life to understand the traumas, the toxins, and the thoughts that you have in order for me to give a recommendation for you. And then that's when the lights come on. That's when the chiropractor is able to start adjusting, and not just adjusting the body, but adjusting the course of the future of that person. And that's what I love about the chiropractic profession is it's something that people have to spend 70% of the time understanding, and 30% of it is action.
Yeah. I think that people either never knew or they forgot how smart their body is. I think we have to remember how smart our body is, because when something happens, I always say when the sun is shining, it's easy for things to go well. The question is when the something hits the fan, we have to be strong. And, so like an example is we're in this middle of this COVID thing, and people taught, I think the number one thing that's affecting people in this time period is fear. They're afraid that their body is not going to be able to take care of them. And in my own case, my fear is a 0 or below. I just don't have any fear. So it's like, what's the difference? The difference is in that mindset. It's in that knowingness that the body has intelligence, that it is smart, that it can take care of itself, and that symptoms are not a bad thing. It's actually part of the healing process. That's the whole point. As opposed to that, when we have symptoms, we're sick, and when we don't have symptoms, we're well. I don't buy that. I think that the symptoms are actually part of the solution. That's how we do get better.
Before Luke asks you the next thing, I was hiking this morning, and I got a message from the tracker system called Sarah Alert, and that's from me going to Puerto Rico, and they sent me this message. They said, "This is Sarah Alert daily report for JC42. Is this person experiencing any of the following symptoms? Cough, difficulty breathing, new loss of smell, new loss of taste, shortness of breath, fever, chills, repeated shaking with chills, muscle pain, headache, sore throat, nausea or vomiting, diarrhea, fatigue, congestion, or runny nose? Please reply with yes or no." I said no, and please stop sending me messages. I'm healthy. They said, "I'm sorry, I don't quite get that. Please reply with yes or no. If you have any questions, please contact your local health department." I go, "No, please read the above message."
No,
we've been somehow convinced that our body's dumb.
And that a computer responding to me that's tracking my responses should know when I say, "No, I'm healthy. I'm okay. I don't need you to continuously check up on me. I'm home. I just hiked 4 miles and I'm okay. I'm intermittent fasting. I don't need any response from you ever again. I've already filled out my thing. I spit in my little container to get approval to go to this beautiful island nation. And now I'm back home, and hands off, and quit sending me messages."
There you go. Well, we live in this society, this dichotomy, and so as a chiropractor, sometimes I feel like I'm like an oddball, but I don't personally feel that way. But sometimes it's like I feel like I'm maybe sometimes an alien to other people because I just don't see the world the same way. And that's okay. I'm not, there's no judgment. I try to not judge them, but I try to invite them into the conversation and just give them the opportunity to understand that it doesn't have to be the way that they're living their life right now.
And see, here's the thing, Dr. Brad, when we publish this, they're going to pop up on social media some little tag with the X to close out about COVID. And because we want to just have a conversation about something that's current in our times, they have this AI that's tracking everything that anybody does, and anything that anybody doesn't have positive to say about it, they actually shut down the bandwidth of what they're able to share, even if it's them hiking. Like, they just declassify the person to getting less traffic because they don't want people to just be happy people that share things that are awesome in life because they mentioned something that's against the narrative.
So let me ask you this. If I just even mention the word, is it going to impact what's going on here?
Oh, it always does.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I mean, that's just the course of life. Like, we have to get through it. And that's the thing is right now when I interviewed Tim O'Shea like 6 years ago, he said the problem is that we're not in lack of information. We have too much information. And right now, 6 years later, it's not the lack of information. It's too much censor on information. And we can't have our own opinions about things anymore. And we can't follow a path that's okay for us just because it's okay for us. They expect us to follow the same path with everyone else. Well, that's it's in my stance, that's it starts taking the knees out of individualism. And it's okay to have your own thoughts. It's okay to have your own belief system. It's okay to live your life as you choose. But when you start talking about a narrative that the AI doesn't appreciate, they start deregulating your reach. So it's just a real thing.
I get it. I understand. Well, listen, we're speaking truth, and sometimes truth is it falls on deaf ears. It's okay. But listen, that there's going to be the other 50% of the population that eats it up, that wants it. They want the truth. They want to get through the BS. And I'm a truth seeker. I want to know when it's real, even if it hurts. I want to know that it's real. And I appreciate what you guys are doing here.
Thank you.
So how do you think the world would change if every person on the planet started seeing chiropractors and getting adjusted?
You know what? I think that it would be amazing, and we have to get people to realize that healthcare is not the same as medical care. When you can get people to realize that they want, I was thinking about this many years ago, that like the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. And if somebody is sick and they're not well, meaning they're not just symptomatic, but their body's breaking down, they could go directly to health. But the problem is that the conversation is conflated. So if everybody had chiropractic care, we would change the planet. We would change the consciousness of the planet. We would, the ability to not only to remove interference to the nervous system, but to empower people's bodies and to get their immune system working better and get their brain working better. And for me, that's a huge part of the conversation. And also, we just need to get people pursuing health and not just treating their symptoms. If you're just treating your symptoms, then you're maybe, I always say it's like the guy who jumps out of a 30-story building. He gets halfway down, he goes, I feel pretty good so far. Well, you know what? At some point, you're going to hit the ground. And, so just being symptom-free is not enough. We need to actually get our body optimized so that it actually works as well as it possibly can. I'm turning 53 this year. My body is not the same as it was when I was 20, when I was 30, when I was 40. And so I think that everybody should have chiropractic care from womb to tomb, as they say. We see babies in our office. We see elderly people in our office. What's the difference? You think the baby is complaining of back pain? No. The parent understands that they want to bring that baby in to be tuned up, to be empowered so that their body grows straight, their nervous system is working well, and I'm all about it. I love it.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Chiropractic Rocks, True Weight Solutions, The 100-Year Lifestyle, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Passive Practice Profits, BrainTap Technology, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Sked, Chiro Pro Accounting, A-Line, and Midwest Brain Health Technology. Let's hustle. Yeah, that's information. When a parent understands that quality of life is determined beyond, being prescribed something, that's huge. And there is such thing as, when I was working in a chiropractic office, I didn't know what the heck this was, but the doctor's like, dude, a patient just fainted in the x-ray room. I'm like, really? And what I guess it's called is white coat syndrome. Like, people are afraid of doctors. Like, they're afraid to go into a doctor's office because they're afraid of the outcome. And I think that when people have that fear level of going to a doctor's office and they go to the chiropractor and they're like, it's an exact opposite paradigm of what people would expect. I would have white coat syndrome too. If I went into and I had some type of like entrenched illness in me and I had to go see some people that were specialists, I might pass out too because I'd be afraid of them. But I think when people understand chiropractic, they're able to go in and see a chiropractor and it's not the same triage type care. It's a hands-on approach. It's a tell me what's going on. Let's do some assessments on you. Let's do an exam. Let's do some x-rays. Let's do some functional testing with you and see what's going on. And it's so much different than what people that have white coat syndrome would experience. So back to what we were saying is the idea of doctoring is so different on the paradigm. If everybody was going to get checked by a chiropractor, they would probably love to go to see their doctor. And they'd probably be more excited than ever to have themselves on a routine maintenance schedule to say, I'm healthy and I'm thriving, and this is why. And I'm not. And if I do have to go see another type of doctor, I guess I might be a little bit more afraid, but there should be no fear ever going to see the chiropractor.
Never. I mean, people come to us, they say, you know what, this is so radically different than any other office I've ever been in. You know, you guys are relaxed. It's calm. Everybody's nice. I mean, why does being nice have to be an exception as opposed to the way that things are? You know, I can remember going as a kid, and I would go into the office, and they had the big glass door in front of them, and they'd open it up, and they'd hand the clipboard, and they'd close it up again. It's like they don't want to have any contact. I'm like, no, you need more contact. You know, chiropractic is amazing because people they're missing touch. They're missing this interaction with their body. And I've had way more first time people who've never had chiropractic care before. I've had more people since I've been in Charlotte than I did my entire time. I was outside of Washington, D.C. for close to 16 and a half years. And it's amazing to me because they walk out of the office and they're like, that was amazing. And you know what? When they realize that, and they realize it's different, and they realize when they come in the office, it's a game changer, because that's what people deserve. That they deserve better. I believe that people deserve better healthcare. They deserve better healthcare, and most people are not getting that. So we just keep plugging away.
So where do you see chiropractic heading in the next 20 years or so?
Where I want it to go, or where I think it's going?
Where do you think it is actually going to go?
You know what? I have to believe that there's enough principled chiropractors that are stepping up to the plate, that are talking to their people, that they're adjusting them, that they're telling them about the chiropractic story. I don't know if that's what's going on or not. I think that a lot of that starts when people go to the schools, and I would say that I think that chiropractic school isn't the end of your learning; it's the beginning. And a lot of times with the school is not even providing the level of understanding about chiropractic. I was fortunate because I was involved with chiropractors when I was in school, and I would go visit chiropractors. And we went up to the Centennial Celebration in Davenport, Iowa when I was in school, which was amazing. And you're surrounded by chiropractors from all over the world. And we were standing in front of the Delta Sigma Chi house, and CJ Mertz was talking to everybody, and he was quoting BJ and talking about the philosophy. And again, the philosophy is about the mindset. It's not necessarily about what you do with the patient, though that's important, but understanding how powerful it is and how miraculous the human body is. So, in terms of the next 20 years, I believe that medicine is coming down. I think people are disenfranchised. I think that people are tired of taking drugs. They're tired of setting themselves up so that they're in a position where they're that surgery is the only option, and they're looking for solutions. And so even in the last 25 years since I've been in practice, more and more people are coming into chiropractic because they want chiropractic, as opposed to I would ask people when I first got in practice, and I would say, what do you know about chiropractic? And they're like, chiropractic, what's that? So people are not saying that anymore. So I have to feel that there's progress going on, and that if we continue this journey and we continue to have these conversations with people, that this message is going to just continue to grow. Because as BJ Palmer says, he says, listen, it's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. You have to light that candle and you got to keep it bright. And so, chiropractors out there, you're doing an amazing thing here by inspiring chiropractors and getting people on here that are gonna get people excited about chiropractic. Because what we're gonna get, what else are we gonna get excited about? We're gonna get excited about having degenerative problems in our spine. We're gonna have, be excited about being on a bunch of meds, when we're growing up. No, we need to see the wisdom of the body and to live our life that way, and realize that symptoms are not the problem, they're the solution. And even like with what's going on right now in society right now, symptoms are the solution, they're not the problem. And if we can open up those channels and open up those nerve pathways in the body, it completely changed the world. I love it.
Listening to what you're saying here, it just reminds me to the fact that philosophy is important for people to understand, for chiropractic to thrive down the line. And we can't forget where the profession came from. So when you're giving the reverence to CJ speaking about BJ and going up for the centennial and understanding like the power of a profession, that's what we have to regain. And we have to continuously work on developing that message. And I really believe that that's why our show is necessary as ever, because we do help keep free speech in chiropractic and unify the profession. And like I was talking to you a couple weeks ago, I was like, what we've done with Chiro Hustle has been so unique. We've torn down all the walls within the profession. We've dissolved all the acronym associations, and we've brought everybody together and let them be heard. And I think that that's something that's so necessary right now than ever when it comes to the chiropractic profession, but when it also comes to the population at large. And some of the things that we say aren't popular, and some of the things that we say, a regular person's like, why would they talk about that? Well, because those are the things that no one else will talk about. And no one else will talk about a care of health system rather than a healthcare system. And I really believe that chiropractic is a care of health system, and it is a standalone type of profession. So when they were able to do ICD-10 codes and say, all right, you guys are going to get insurance benefits for doing this. Well, chiropractors were never reimbursed for adjusting. They were always reimbursed for manipulating. And
right.
When it came down to it, that was out of congruency with the message of chiropractic. So a lot of chiropractors for years have been adjusting outside of their congruency by ICD-10 codes, doing manipulations, which in all honesty, you got to get paid, but what are you getting paid for? So I think that when we're talking about this bigger topic of where do we see the profession going in 20 years, we have to reestablish a care of health system rather than a healthcare system, because the healthcare system, like you mentioned earlier in the interview, they've been bought out by hospitals, which is sick care, and it's not healthcare. And they reframed who they are inside of a healthcare model, which if it was healthcare, they wouldn't follow the paradigm of sick care. And really it's pharmaceutical care. And that's who is owning these big hospitals. So when I was actually I don't remember what city it was, but they were like, it was Nashville. And a lot of their local economies propped up by big hospitals. And there's supposed to be like so many like healthcare providers in Nashville. And I was just blown away. Like, what? Well, why don't they have chiropractors in all these hospitals? Because it's not real healthcare. And chiropractic is care of health. So, as we talk about this bigger topic of chiropractic, we have to understand where the chiropractic profession came from, where it is today, and where we can take it together and support the historical reference of the profession?
There, even when I was in school, there were arguments happening. There were disagreements. People weren't listening to each other. And, there were some people that felt like chiropractic needed to be a branch of medicine. I'm like, what are you talking about? Chiropractic started as a separate and distinct profession, and I think that's been one of our powers. It's one of the things that's kept us alive, because there's a lot of professions, even, whether it's osteopathy or homeopathy or whatever, they get swallowed up by medicine, and then they end up medicalizing everything, as opposed to, like I was saying earlier in the interview, I don't think like most people think. I was with some family over the weekend, and there's this very clear divide where people are so quick to take a pill, take a something, go to their doctor and get some sort of treatment. And listen, that's a choice that people can make, but that's not a choice that I'm willing to make. And I've my wife is a chiropractor. I have 2 kids. They were both born at home. We've never done shots. We live this way. We eat a whole food diet. I take care of my body, and you know what? It's possible to avoid drugs and surgery over the course of one's life if you take the right steps. But if you keep abusing the heck out of your body, at some point it's going to talk back, and it's going to break down. You cannot just keep doing things to yourself and keep abusing your body and keep inflaming your body and expect things to go well. But you know what? Chiropractic is a great start. And if somebody listening to this has never been to a chiropractor before, go see a chiropractor. If you've had a bad experience, I always say, what, have you ever had a bad haircut? Okay, you have another haircut, go find another person to cut your hair. Not all chiropractors are the same. And one of the areas, and this was a question that you asked, Luke, was about what really sets us apart. And I think that one of the things that sets us apart is, a lot of times people equate chiropractic with popping and cracking of the spine. But the fact is, there's a whole bunch of techniques and approaches to the body that don't involve that at all. And even the school that we went to, people would laugh about Logan Basic because, you're putting your hands close to, people's butt. It's like, but it's like it wasn't a butt adjustment. It was a spinal adjustment. And we can do these things. We can use our hands to make changes in the body. Even if I didn't, like you're not going to do the same thing on a child as you are going to do on an 80-year-old that you're going to do on a 50-year-old. You're going to do different things with them. And so having a variety of approaches with the body, use your hands, even people who are, listen, I understand, like some people use instruments and some people use different techniques to do things. Remember, you have these amazing hands. Hands are golden. Chiropractic is about the hands. Kairos, hands.
So who have been some of your heroes on your chiropractic journey? And if you can pick anyone from history to have dinner with, who would it be?
You know what? I've had so many amazing mentors over the years, Luke. Do I have to pick one? I absolutely love chiropractic. I've had the pleasure of going and experiencing Jim Sigafus and Guy Reekman and Joe Felicia and other chiropractors who have really helped to shape the way that chiropractors are. I think that for myself, in terms of who it is that I would want to sit down with, I would want to sit down with somebody like Tony Robbins or like Jim Rohn, who is his mentor. These guys were way ahead of their time. They understood that the mind was so powerful and that we can begin to start to change our life through knowledge and through experience and through new practices. But if I was going to sit down with a chiropractor, I would probably, I would want to go to the source. I would want to sit down with D.D. Palmer or B.J. Palmer or J. Clay Thompson or Clarence Gonstead, who were pioneers in their time. They were fighting uphill against a system that was trying to suppress them. And you know what? They were amazing human beings with some sort of incredible insight to be able to see what chiropractic could be, and the impact that chiropractic has had on the world came from that seed. And so for me, I'm inspired by innovators and people who really see something outside of the norm. They see something that is different, and they don't try to change it, but they create the world in their image.
So let's talk about you personally a little bit before we wrap up this interview. What are some things that you like to read and listen to in your spare time? And what are some of your hobbies?
You know what? I love chiropractic. I love business and marketing. I read every day. I watch videos every day. I'm constantly learning, taking courses, doing things, growing my mind. On my phone, I've got, I don't know if people know this or not, but there's recordings of Jim Rohn on Spotify. There's recordings of Les Brown and Napoleon Hill and various chiropractors even that have recordings and podcasts and different things on Spotify or on YouTube or some other platform where they're streaming videos. Every day I would say I spend at least 2 to 3 hours watching something new and getting in there. You can get complacent, but I'm not. And one of the things that Tony Robbins did for me was he turned a switch on in my life. He did something. And I'm not sure even when it happened. But when he turned that switch on, it hasn't turned off since. And that was 30 years ago. And that switch was something around being a lifelong learner, continuing to grow and learn and expand and try new things and experiment. Thomas Edison had over 1,000 patents to his name when he died. And he said that he had to do at least 1,000 experiments for every single one of those patents. He did more than 1 million experiments over the course of his life. We as chiropractors need to experiment. We need to try things. And if it doesn't work, try something else. It's like learning to walk. You didn't walk that time, try something new. And you know what? I believe very much that we are the solution to our own problem. And nobody's going to do it for us. We have to do it. We have to go there. And I'm so thankful for where we are right now in history, that we have so many resources available to us in our life to be able to learn and to grow and to expand and to be able to develop our mindset and our personal development so that we can become the best versions of ourselves.
Well, there's an Albert Einstein quote. I believe it goes like this: nothing happens until something moves. And one of my mentors early on is John DeMartini. And he said that you have to give yourself permission to be great. And Les Brown would say, if you're going to fall down on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up.
Yep.
And then you should go see your chiropractor.
And go see your chiropractor. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So where can people go if they want to learn more about you and what you're doing?
So our website is the name of our office is Innovation Health, and our website is ihealthnc.com. The NC for North Carolina, and you can go there. We've got I've got materials on our YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel called Living Max Health, which is all about really kind of the conversation we were saying earlier, which is about helping to preserve the spine and take care of. We talk a lot about, posture and the body and whatnot. It's not so much about chiropractic, though I do talk about chiropractic in there. It's really about taking care of the physical body and the nervous system and whatnot. But those are two great places to reach us.
Well, Dr. Brad, such a pleasure to have you on as episode 260 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. There's a lot to be distilled from this, and anybody that's listening, you find yourself a impassioned chiropractor out there in Charlotte, North Carolina. And it's really cool to get to know you, Dr. Brad. And I look forward to the next opportunity that we get a chance to either break bread digitally or in person.
There you go. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. And you guys keep going after it. I love it.
We will keep hustling.
Keep hustling.
Thank you for being our guest today. And we just want you to enjoy the rest of your afternoon. All right.
Thank you so much, Luke. Okay.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.